Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. Culture is one of those buzzwords that there's a legendary coach down here, DFW, at one school for 30 plus years, just retired. I was having one of these talks and I brought up culture and he's like, that word, he's like 10, 15, 20 years ago, we never even used that word. But he said, but we all had one. We all knew it. Like culture is nothing new. It's just that usage of that word. So how does it drive performance?
And I've written 2 books about culture. Culture Wins and Culture Wins Too. I'm not a big, I think a lot of people, when they hear the word culture, they think of the get in a circle, kumbaya, stuff. I don't view culture that way, and I never have, but I think a lot of people do. And so when I was reflecting and started this whole journey of writing, okay, I asked myself, what is culture and how do I simplify it? Because then we talk about how do you simplify it? Well, I simplified it with 3 things. Okay. Culture is what you allow. Culture is what you emphasize, and culture is every day. And when I think of our whole program and everything that we do and impact, everything can be fit into those 3 definitions of culture. Like as a coach, what do we allow? Do I allow kids to show up late? Do I allow them to not go 100% in practice? Do I allow them to talk to their teammate in a certain way? Do I allow them to behave a certain way? I mean, the list goes on, but we are what we allow. And then number 2, what are you going to emphasize? And like the 3 principles on defense that we talked about, or maybe that we do the same thing on offense, or what's important to us. I remember going to a clinic at a very young age, and I remember a coach saying, understand, you are what you emphasize. Okay. If you want to be the best rebounding team in your state or your conference or whatever it may be, you don't have to do a rebounding drill. But if you emphasize it every single day, your kids will rebound because it's important to you. And that resonated with me because it's so true. So as a coach, I think we got to find out what is important to us. What are we going to emphasize? Do that over and over again. And it can't be those 10 defensive principles. It's got to be 2, 3 things over and over again. And then the last one is probably the most important with culture is every day. Okay. I think a lot of people build their culture and they think, okay, it's set, and then they relax and then things happen and all of a sudden they don't address them and it starts eating away at your culture. No matter what your culture is, things are going to happen. You can have the best culture in the world. They're still kids. They're going to do dumb things. They're going to test the limits. They're going to try. It's just human nature. It's are you going to address them or not? And the example I give is if I'm walking down the hall, it happened today at school. And it's ironic because both my assistant principal and I were talking, and this kid was leaving the lunchroom, and he kind of was talking to his buddies, and it was just his buddies turning the corner, but he swore. And both of us, without missing a beat, turned and addressed the kid saying the same exact thing. Well, he was walking away. He was 20 feet away from us. We could have easily said, we didn't hear it, let it go. But just by addressing it, the kid knows that's not who we are. That's not our expectation. That's not how we talk. Even if you're talking to your buddies, it's not what we're going to do. Again, we didn't allow it. We addressed it. We didn't punish them. We didn't do anything, but we're molding the behavior. We're molding the kids. We're molding the culture. And we do that on teams every single day. We really have to think as coaches, I think, what are all the things that we're allowing each and every day? What are we emphasizing? And then if you reflect that way as a coach, and think about it every day, you're going to mold your culture into what you want it to be. You just have to really find out what's important to you and make sure you're moving it in that direction. That's my thoughts on culture.
No, that's awesome. And what's the balance, I think, between, because early on, I mean, we're influenced by some of those coaches that we had, or the guys that we kind of wanted to emulate. Like my college coach was a Bobby Knight disciple, kind of what actually coached for him was an assistant. So that was kind of what I started out thinking I really wanted to be like. And you can kind of take the approach of those coaches. And so with standards and expectations, how do you set the line between, okay, like this is a place that has structure and we have standards, but it's also fun and enjoyable to be a part of? Because I think I've gone too far. In fact, I had players a few years ago tell an assistant coach that they thought I was a robot. It was like, there wasn't an actual person in here. I don't know. What's your thought on that balance?
And that's so true. And to me, that is the art of coaching. Okay. And this is in my mind where the word withitness comes in, because I am not I would say I'm not a disciplinarian, but I have high expectations for our kids. I'm not you have to pick your battles on what's important. We have the one thing is, and this has been the standard in our program for 60 years. It was well before the coach before me, but if you have 2 laps for every minute you're late for a team meeting, practice, or whatever. So if you show up, if you miss 30 minutes for whatever, it's 60 laps, so it's just a little thing, but that's something that's important because our time with each other is important. To me, it's really the art of coaching. It's the art of creating a team. Like, how do you allow kids to have fun and play free and kind of, be able to rib them and joke and have fun with them, but then get down to business and really learn and grow and become the best team you can. To me, that's something I think I've gotten a lot better at as I've gotten older as a coach is, and it's picking your battles. Like, you really have to look and say, okay, is this really that important?
Yeah.
Or what really is important to me? I'll give you a really simple example. For years, up until about 3 years ago, and it maybe took my son's grade to go through, for me to appreciate it a little bit because I had known them so well. But, you got all the player introductions, you got all the handshake stuff that happens, right? I was always we're not doing that. Like, just go up, just pump your buddy, go up, and we're not going to do that. And then I kind of gradually, I'm like, is this a pick your battles thing? Really, is it going to affect our play? Is it going to affect our whatever? And so I've gradually I've allowed it. So what I've allowed has changed. Now, if it ever went too far, I would address it. Too far for me, but that's a little thing that doesn't affect our team and what we do, but it gives the kids a little bit more fun and freedom. And, it's things like that. But you really have to ask yourself, pick your battles. And I have to do that a lot because my nature is probably pretty strict and pretty conservative.
Yeah.
But I've learned to be, and that's where the relationship piece comes in, and being able to have these open conversations with your team leaders and what they want and need and what's important and kind of finessing it,
That's a good point. And I think at the end of the day, our goal is to create an environment, a culture, style of play that ultimately leads to winning. And so what things are we doing, or what standards that we have that really don't have anything to do with winning? The shoes that they wear. I always wanted them to have team shoes and look the same. And there's to me, like almost an elegance about that. Like, we're so together. But then my best player years ago came to me and said, Coach, this brand of shoe really hurts my feet. Well, he's averaging 28 a game. What am I going to do? Say, hey, I don't care if you're uncomfortable or not. No. So all of a sudden it was, okay, well, guys, listen here. our colors are white, red, and navy, like every other private school in Texas. And you got to find shoes that incorporate those colors. If it has other colors, that's not it. Don't care about brand. But coach, it's just funny that you said the handshake things. I take my seniors through. I don't do the individual exit interviews that I hear some guys do before, but I do meet with them. And when I meet with them as a group, I give them little cards, and it's what's something or a three thing or something that you loved that we do that we need to keep doing. What's something that you wish we would do, and then what's something we shouldn't do anymore. And it really gives me some insight to, all right, these are things that they really like. We got to keep doing that. And sometimes the things that they wish we could do, you know what, they're kids. They don't know any better. Like that, I can dismiss it, but then the things they wish, all of them said pregame handshakes. Because like you, listen, we're not about that here.
Yeah.
But then another coach over down here and say like, what does it hurt? What's the big thing? Like, yeah, I don't want a snake charmer to come out or a bull. I don't. That'll be the next step is, okay, how do we corral that into the right direction? But I do want them to have fun because our whole style is about that, running and gunning and having fun. But then yet I'm going to restrict them into thing that, man, they seem to really want to do.
I know. And team play for us is so important. And I think it's a big reason we're successful is we just sacrifice, me for we and play together and be in. And so anything that is against the concept of team is something that's rubbed me the, wrong way a little bit. The handshake was one, the shoes, the exact same thing with the shoes. Like I've changed with that. It's not affecting how we play at all, and so I focus on that. And it's little things, and part of it's just getting older. I think like I don't know, I feel like I know it's not going to have an impact, and the kids are going to enjoy it, and that might help us. You know what I mean? Like that might make them tighter as a team or more fun or more connected, things like that. And those are really important too.
I like that idea. And another thing I think about is our style of play has so much to do. I mean, even though it's fast and we shoot a lot of threes and we take the first open shot that we get, man, there's a lot of control that actually has to happen there. Like, even though it seems to be a freelance system, it's actually very restrictive in what they can and can't do. And they have to know that immediately. So with so much control, like, it's really easy to suck the fun out of everything. So to your point, I think if the style of play that you have is really, keeping them not in a box, because I disagree. It's not a box at all, but there's just high standards with what they have to do every possession. Then, man, let's look for those areas to let go of the things that we truly don't care about.
Yeah, I think that's a real good point.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.